Hello everyone and welcome to this game. It's between Heittotähtdet and BadGameUniversity. I am Sona and my co-caster today is Grey Goose. I'm very excited for this game. Grey, what do you think is going to go on?
I'm looking forward to a really interesting game. I do think both of these teams are quite skilled. We have a lot of very good players here, and it should be very interesting to see what game plans they have set up in order to win against the enemy team.
Okay, take your time, Grey Goose. Hopefully we'll be getting into the game in about 10 seconds. So there's actually an ARAM vote going on in the lobby at the moment. I'm a little bit excited. I would love to see an ARAM, but hopefully we do see a normal game because it is going to be an interesting game if it does happen. BadGameUniversity look like a very strong team, as do Heittotähtdet. Very much looking forward to this game.
Yeah,
Grey
it should
Goose?
be
Very
interesting. Yeah, I'm here. Everything's fine.
Everything is fine.
My microphone is working after all.
I've
had a couple issues with it the last couple days, but today it's been working just fine. And we are into Champion Select now.
Yeah.
Let's see what these teams are banning.
We're waiting for the first ban to come out here from Heittotähtdet. I'm looking, as I said, I'm really looking forward to this game. It's actually the first time we've cast together on stream, I think, Sven, isn't it?
Indeed it is, and it's kind of exciting casting with you.
Oh, well,
not sure if I can deal with all this excitement.
We do see Zed getting banned out
you
here. Zed, a very strong mid laner, although I think he's actually being nerfed quite a lot with the changes to his shadow, making it a little bit laggier, a little bit slower, but his changes to the death mark do sort of balance that out a little bit.
Yeah, the changes to the death mark make his shadow remain where he casts the ultimate instead of putting it behind his intended target, which modifies his ultimate play a little bit insofar as you don't instantly have the shadow behind your target. Instead, this makes it a lot easier to get back out of a fight after getting it killed. So if you use your ultimate in order to tower dive, you easily have a shadow to go back to, and the range at which that shadow will stay has been ridiculously increased too, so it's a much easier escape mechanisms. The next bans here are Nidalee, Riven, and Orianna. All of those pretty reasonable picks. Although the Riven kind of surprises me, actually. It's not something you see that often.
Yeah, I mean, Riven is quite strong recently because of the changes to her broken wings, meaning that she can jump across some walls and be able to traverse the map a little bit easier. We've seen her played a lot more in mid lane, especially in the OGN by Faker and those sorts of champions. So I'm not that surprised by that ban, but we don't see it that much in EU. So maybe they're doing a specific ban here against Heittotähtdet. We do see the ban coming out as well. Grey Goose, you back?
Yeah. Just trying to fix a couple of microphone issues. Apparently, I am echoing indeed. As we see Fizz banned out, of course, a very strong assassin, a very common ban these days. Nobody really wants to play him, and we saw him earlier today already being a very, very powerful force, just doing so much damage, and him being banned out there is definitely a reasonable choice.
Yeah, I mean, him being banned out, yeah. The Fizz is probably one of the strongest mid laners in the game at the moment. So much burst damage, so much ability just to roam the map as well, with that playful trickster getting you down to bot lane really quickly. So I actually played a Dominion game versus Fizz earlier and got stomped. He's just so strong as soon as he gets that Lich Bane, gets a couple of kills behind his belt. So we do see Thresh being picked up here by the Henix. What do you think about Thresh in the sort of current bot lane meta?
In the current, I mean, generally right now, bot lane is in kind of an interesting spot because you have the high mobility AD carries, and then you have people like Sivir that don't really have an escape mechanism directly, but have very strong utility spells to make up for it, for example with a spell shield. And generally you will either have a poke lane or a sustain lane or a kill lane, and Thresh fulfills two roles. He's at the same time good at good at peeling for his AD carry and good at engaging. And he can really fulfill several roles in that bot lane. And Caitlyn, with her large range, definitely one of the favorable picks against him. However, we will have to see what AD carry comes with that. And we see Kassadin picked up, also a commonly banned out champion. Very, very strong. If he manages to shove his wave a little, get to level 6, and then roam all over the map, pick up kills, he can be extremely good at snowballing the game ahead in his favor.
Yeah, Kassadin really, really strong at the moment. There were some recent changes in patch 3.13 to his Rift Walk and to his ability to get around the map, but I don't really think they've been as strong nerfs as many people seem to think they are. I expect to see him banned out in most games, and I'm actually surprised that he wasn't banned out here. I do see that Tristana getting picked up, and Tristana's a great counter to Caitlyn, because if you get past level 14, your range actually is longer than Caitlyn's range, and that's going to be very difficult to deal with late game. Combining that with an early game Thresh with the Death Sentence, with the ability to use that Flay, get Tristana jumping on top of Caitlyn, really helps you out early game, carries Tristana through to her late game phase where she can really wreck face.
Indeed, Tristana, Thresh, such a deadly bottom lane there. And Caitlyn is going to have to be really, really careful, and I'm interested to see which support they actually decide to pick up against this, because, you know, you need someone that is able to protect Caitlyn from this, else the spot lane can snowball very heavily in favor of Heittotähtdet. We do, of course, see Jarvan picked up, also a very powerful jungler. Seen him even banned a couple of times in the past weeks, as now it is possibly going to be that Janna, of course, one of the strongest peeling supports in the game. Only Zyra has a stronger, basically disengage/engage ultimate, but Janna, with her skills, so very, very useful for protecting that AD carry. The shield, the Howling Gale, as well as the Zephyr, and of course the Monsoon. Such strong spells in order to protect your AD, and this is such an all-in composition from Heittotähtdet that it gets even stronger. Thresh wants to go right into the middle. Elise, same thing. Tristana wants to jump in order to do extra damage, and then there's Renekton that also wants to get into the fight and sit on your face. Of course, he isn't quite locked in yet, but that Monsoon can really do a lot to break up the team fight, let BadGameUniversity reposition themselves, and then do whatever they want with that lane. Or with that fight, rather.
Yeah, there are a couple of picks really that you can do versus the Tristana Thresh bot lane, especially if you already have a Caitlyn. Either you can choose to go really, really hard engage on your support for someone like Leona, try and get into their backline, onto that Tristana and just lock her down, allowing Caitlyn to do a lot of damage from the side, or you go for the disengage, which is what we see out of BadGameUniversity here. They've gone for that Janna, going to try and keep us safe with the Eye of the Storm shield and with the Howling Gale as well, just trying to keep that Caitlyn in the backline as safe as possible. Works really well versus the Jax and versus the Jace as well, so nice pickup there on Shenli with that Janna. One thing about Elise I want to mention, Elise obviously can be played in the jungle, can be top lane as well, has one of the lowest win percentages at the moment because of the release of the Victorious Elise skin. She's down to about 45% at the moment from about 52%, so obviously a lot of people are playing her at the moment. I don't expect sort of a bad level of play at the, from this team, but you never know, might just be picking Elise because that Victorious Elise skin does look so pretty on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, that new skin definitely a huge incentive for people to pick her up, but we do see actually a Jax locked in here as well, instead of that Renekton that was hovered over earlier. Now it's going to be interesting to see what's picked against this. Jax, generally a very strong pick for the top lane, but he does have quite a number of counters as well. And the timer runs out. It is going to be a Blitzcrank. Was that really intentional? That's a very interesting team composition now.
If that was intentional, I am very much looking forward to this game. Like, wow, this is going to be an incredible game if that Blitzcrank is going to go in that top lane. Do have just 37 seconds here waiting for the teams to switch around their champions, get those summoner spells in the right order. I think there's a remake being asked for here. I don't think it was an intentional Blitzcrank pick. So let's get out of this and let the teams remake. And it's not fun to play without the proper champion. So yeah, let's get out of this. We can remake. X Trays, if you want to quit now, you can. We'll remake the game for you. I'm gonna. Ooh, actually, it looks like they're not going to remake. No, they are going to remake. There we are, back into the fix and ban screen. So just a couple of seconds waiting on this one. Grey Goose, those two teams were sort of shaping up quite nicely there, and I think Matthias wanted to pick a Renekton. So what do you think about that if Renekton was picked into the team comp?
I'm not quite sure if... I mean, it would really depend on the top lane skill level and the jungler pressure, which one would win out in that fight, because... And in the end, whoever won that top lane would have a huge advantage for the mid to late game, because both Renekton and Jax towards the mid to late game become huge terras. They can just walk in there and basically decide a team fight by themselves. Renekton at some point can become so tanky that he can basically sit there 3v5 and just deny the enemy team, whereas Jax, of course, can jump onto the enemy AD carry and basically take him out by himself.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that would really happen with that would be that Renekton is actually a very nice pick against this all-in composition out of Heittotähtdet, as he can go there and try to block as many of them as possible, kind of being a body block in front of all of them, and letting the rest of his team, the entirety of BadGameUniversity, just sit in the back line, let Caitlyn do her work, let Kassadin dive in and out and in and out, do what he wants. Janna can keep peeling for Caitlyn all she wants, and Jarvan can jump in there as well with his Cataclysm, with his knockup, try to keep people there as well, and just do their best to protect their carries. We do see that Renekton now locked in. You were completely right, did pick that up for himself.
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems with playing a protect the carry team is, at the moment, who are you going to protect? Yes, you can protect Caitlyn. She's in the back line doing a lot of damage. She scales off not that well late game. She's a bit weak in the late game. She's got the early range advantage, and so won't probably be able to duel that Tristana as we get past the sort of 25-30 minute mark. And Kassadin isn't someone really that you want to protect that much. Maybe if you can jump onto carrying them there playing Tristana, or Ryder playing Thresh and melt them down, that would be great. But he's going to be in the middle of the fight as well. What you're really hoping for is Shenli and Extras playing Jarvan and Renekton to be able just to keep a lot of the damage focused on them. Play the sort of World of Warcraft tank sort of role, which is where you draw the aggro of the main people on the opposing team. And if they can manage to get some of those summoner spells used on them, the ultimates as well used on them, then you'll see Alcatraz jumping into the backline, and you'll see Die trying to get a bit closer and get those headshots off, and the ace in the hole, of course, as well.
And the reason why I also really like the Renekton pick actually is because it gives them a lot more engage potential. With only the Jarvan 4 Cataclysm engage, they're pretty weak on that. Janna doesn't really have anything to engage. Caitlyn, of course, also not very good at that. Kassadin rather wants to assassinate and not basically be the first man into a fight. And this Renekton pickup with the Slice and Dice, with the stun on him as well, that just facilitates their late game engage potential. Of course, as you mentioned though, the late game for Heittotähtdet looks stronger, but they have hybrid champions, but they don't have a dedicated AP carry. So this might become a weakness for them late game. I'm really looking forward to see this Jace. Haven't seen Jace in the mid lane for a long time, but against Kassadin that could actually work out really well. I was thinking maybe they do a lane swap, because a Thresh Tristana against a Kassadin is super powerful, and you want to keep that Kassadin small, because as soon as he can roam all over the map and pick up kills, he just becomes a pure terror. He snowballs himself, but by doing that, they can keep him small. And this long-range poke-focused Jace might be able to fulfill the same role just fine.
Yeah, by having the extra range there on Jace when he's in the Mercury Cannon form, you're going to be able to keep Alcatraz away from that early CS. I don't think he's expecting to do anything until at least level 6, unless he gets a very, very good gank out from that Jarvan. He's not going to be able to lane properly. Going to have to get that Netherblade up, get the Null Spheres to last hit more than actually do any harassment. Obviously, Null Sphere was recently nerfed as well. Got a bit of extra time on the silence coming out of it, but not quite as much damage at the early levels. So I'm expecting to see the Henniks really dominate that mid lane, as you said, until about level 6, and then we'll see if Alcatraz can pick up a couple of kills.
This silence, of course, would be super useful against AP carries, but against a Jace it doesn't even do that much, because he's so auto-attack based. It's kind of negating even that little advantage that he had there. Now I'll be really looking forward to what the level 1 strats are here, because as it looks right now, I'd actually give the level 1 over to Heittotähtdet. They have a lot of CC. If need be, they'd have the Cocoon from Elise, they'd have the Death Sentence from Thresh, they have the jump in from Tristana, or the jump out if necessary. They have Jax with either the Counter Strike or the Leap. They have Jace with a lot of early long range damage. And then on the other side, there's Kassadin that can't really do anything at level 1. I mean, he has a silence, which is nice. But other than that, he's fairly weak and pretty squishy. Janna is very squishy. Has to be very careful. At least she would have the Howling Gale to stop the advance. And then Renekton, I guess, would be a person that can at least stun someone and prevent some of the advancements of the enemy team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that level 1 does go down. I'm actually thinking as to whether, you mentioned lane swaps, they might do a lane swap putting Renekton up against that dual bot lane, against that Tristana and the Thresh, because if you can shut down Jax, yes, if you give him a lot of free farm sort of mid to late game, he can still get up to a big sort of powerful snowballing champion, but if you can shut him down with a Caitlyn and a Janna, getting some damage down on him and pushing that top tower down early, it's going to give you that extra map presence. And there's not really a quick level, sort of level 6 Dragon team coming out here from the Heittotähtdet team. They really need that Tristana, Thresh, Jace and Elise there to secure Dragon. It's not like they have a Nasus who could use Fury of the Sands to get it down by himself. So we might actually see a counter lane swap coming out, putting Caitlyn and Janna up in that top lane.
That is indeed very correct, and it will be very interesting to see if they really do go for that. Janna and Caitlyn both very poke heavy, and really able to just poke down Jax. Jax is strong, especially against other bruisers, but he doesn't actually have that much HP, and if he gets poked down by Caitlyn and Janna, he will not be able to really defend this tower, whereas Renekton, pretty beefy, has an escape mechanism, has Call of the Meek, which has built-in regeneration for himself, and then if he picks up a couple of potions, he could actually do quite well for himself under that tower. We are finally into the game now.
Yeah, looking... Sorry, go ahead.
No. Oh, no.
Well, we are just waiting on these champions to get into their lanes. It looks like everyone's going to go down the mid lane, starting off being nice and defensive, as you'd expect sort of at this level of play. You don't really expect people to run across to their own lanes. We see them all running down mid lane, a couple of pings coming out towards the BadGameUniversity red buff from Heittotähtdet. I'm not sure if they're just going to go across and try and ward it, or if they're going to try some sneaky tactics. So we do actually have a pause coming out. Chuck up our pause screen so that the teams can't actually see the map, and it looks like we've got a disconnect going on.
Yeah, I do think Renekton just has to relog real quick. But what is interesting here, of course, the Doran's Blade coming out from Jace, that was to be expected, and Kassadin, really scared of that lane, did go for the cloth armor, is pretty scared of really going down to the early attack damage. It's also a fairly common item on a Kassadin mid, because he knows, due to him being melee, and going up against a ranged champion, he is going to get punished for getting CS, and that's not what he wants to do. He wants to have as much health remaining as possible, so he can just level up quickly and maybe get a couple of CS.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Sorry, it's going to be interesting to see how that lane goes down. Usually you see Jace start off with that Fairy Charm, building it into a tier of Goddess. Muir Mana hasn't had any recent changes, so it's still just as strong as it used to be. So Mana Moon, which is the first item that builds out of that tier, is still quite strong. But with Jace in the mid lane, he's going to be getting those blue buffs over and over again, so probably doesn't need the extra mana you get from a tier as much as he would if he were in the top lane.
It's true. It's also a shorter lane. He doesn't have to be quite as careful. Although, I mean, if there is constant jungle pressure from Jarvan is, of course, strong jungler, then he can really punish Jace if Jace gets overconfident. But generally, he doesn't need as much escape mana remaining at all times. Now, you see both teams actually invading one another's red buffs, just getting a couple of wards down. Both of the teams warding up near the wraiths. Now the red team moving back.
Yeah, it looks like they might actually get caught out if they go the wrong route here, and if their entire team doesn't join up, they might get caught out. They'd have no vision of this area, so it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very close. They do actually see Thresh coming out there. Bloater's going to get spotted out, and Alcatraz is coming round, but all 5 members of both teams are here. There is a ward in that bush. Death Sentence could come out at any point. Here comes the Death Sentence! It hits onto Extras. They're going to engage. There's a shock blast. Cocoon going on to Died, and he might get taken quite low here. So much damage coming back and forth, but it's just niggles and niggles and niggles. Sando going down to about half the health as well. A ward does go down in that red bush from both teams, and everyone's just going to back away. I think actually BadGameUniversity got out on the better side of that one.
I completely agree. That was not what Heittotähtdet wanted to do there. They lost a lot of health points. They did not hit the targets they wanted to. The death sentence was probably aimed at Caitlyn, sadly hit Jarvan, then the Cocoon came out, missed Jarvan, hit Caitlyn, and with that they weren't able to change their CC, and Elise lost a lot of HP, and that really puts her off to a fairly bad start in the jungle. She also took quite a while to move over to her red buff. As you can see, she's down to 200 HP, killing the red buff, almost 100, and that's not where you want to be at level 1 as a jungler.
Yeah, not at all. It's going to put her quite far behind. She's already going through those pots. Got level 2 now, so she'll be able to sustain herself up, especially when you get red buff first. The skittering frenzy on your spiders means that each spider procs that red buff, so you get extra damage down onto your next buff. Means that she'll be able to take down blue buff a little bit quicker than Jarvan will take down red, but Jarvan has got to his red really quickly and is going to take that down and be able to go to top lane.
Exactly. You'll probably see these junglers meeting in the top lane. At least I would think that they will, because Renekton already putting down quite a lot of damage onto Jax, and really the only other option for Jarvan would be the mid lane. Jace doing a very nice job there of poking down Kassadin in these early stages, but we all expected that to happen anyway.
Yeah, it's exactly what we talked about, isn't it? Kassadin's going to really struggle to get as many CS as he wants early game just because of that extra harass coming out from Jace. We do see Jarvan going into the top lane. Elise is here as well, just waiting behind that tower. Jarvan's trying to sneak into the second bush. Going to be very difficult for him to get in there. Renekton's going to have to push it up and makes it quite dangerous for them, really.
And Elise has backed off now. This is where it gets really dangerous for Jax. He's still there, and if he pushes just a little bit too far, there may be the early dive. Of course, Renekton also very tanky at the early levels, has that Dorn shield in his back pocket as well, so he could risk a dive, but it does look like Jarvan's just going to back off, stay safe, and go back into his jungle.
Yeah, he really couldn't do anything there. The lane was pushed up against him, didn't want to stay around for that long. You lose so much early experience and so many CS in the jungle if you stay around into a lane for too long. And he needs to go back, farm up his golems, and just get up to level 3, level 4, approaching the time when he gets this cataclysm and is really able to hold the rest of the team off.
Indeed, now we see Kassadin doing surprisingly well on the mid lane CS-wise actually. He's only one behind, and this Jace goes in.
Yeah, taking a lot of damage. Ignite's gone down there on the Henix. Alcatraz might decide to go in on a little bit on this. Elise is there with the repel though and decides to back away. Jarvan's going to come in from the side, and Jace has actually still got his Ignite. Kassadin's already used his, so it's going to be a very close fight if this one goes down. It looks like the Henix is going to back away from it.
Smart move. I don't think he wanted to burn any of his summoners, and really the kill potential would have been very, very risky. Kassadin already back at over half of his HP. Would have been a very dangerous fight. And the problem is the Phoenix did not pick up any health potions. He has that health regeneration on the Doran's Blade, but he has nothing else. And that's really what makes it very difficult for him to stay in this lane right now, because Kassadin got the trade advantage early there with the Ignite, and now he can just do whatever he wants because Jace can't get close anymore. And Null Sphere, quite useful actually against for poking at a little larger range, as we see an engagement in the bot lane.
Yeah,
maybe?
Flake coming out onto Died, but he's just going to be able to use that Caitlyn range. That Grievous Wounds from Carrion M on his explosive shot is doing a little bit of extra damage, getting him down a little bit, but Eye of the Storm coming out there from Janna, going to be able to keep him nice and safe. The thing about Eye of the Storm is, yes, it gives you a shield, but it also gives you a bit of extra AD. Oh, actually, nice Death Sentence there. Landing, he's going to engage with Eye of the Storm. Nice Flake. The exhaust has gone down on Carrion M. Howling Gale misses because he has to jump away, and Wright is going to get taken down to about half health. Nice fight there for BadGameUniversity.
I'm surprised Thresh did Ignite. It looked like he wanted to go for the all-in, and that extra damage could have scared Caitlyn into running. And if she had started running instead of keeping to auto-attack Tristana, that could have been the point for Tristana to jump onto Caitlyn, then do extra damage. Of course, he did pick up that Ignite instead of the exhaust, which in the end was what let Tristana, Caitlyn and Janna win out that fight overall. Of course, the Janna shield very, very powerful as well. Gives that AD carry extra damage on his auto attacks. That was really what turned the tide against Tristana and Thresh, despite theoretically getting a very nice death sentence onto the enemy AD carry.
I'm really interested in this top lane at the moment because Shen Li has just hit level 6, about 3 minions quicker than Blooded. Oh, there's the Blooded hitting level 6 as well. Bot lane engage, actually, here comes Ryto as well. Nice dark passage, he's going to go in. There's the Cocoon landing on Matthias. He goes down, nicely done there by Sando, picking up the kill. The jumper coming from Tristana as well, but they managed to secure the kill. Really nice dark passage into Death Sentence combination there with the Cocoon and Repel coming out as well. Alcatraz getting taken down quite low. Lightning Fields come out here from the Henix, and Alcatraz has to jump away. Ignite is still up for the Henix, so if Alcatraz comes back in with that Riftwalk, he might get taken down really quickly. Cocoon landing in the bottom lane, but they're not going to be able to engage underneath that turret. Has to back away. Good fighting here from Heittotähtdet.
Renekton in the top lane.
Oh, Renekton, so going in top lane, there's the Dominus, we talked about that. Ignite goes out, he hit level 7 just that little bit earlier, taken down to about 200 HP, but it's not going to be able to do anything. Alcatraz coming in mid lane, but he's going to have to back away. That Riftwalk not getting close enough to the Henix to do any damage. Nicely done there, 1-1 in the scoreline, and about 400 gold in the lead here for BadGameUniversity.
So yeah, in the end, what snowballed the bot fight was a beautiful death sentence out of Thresh that hit Janna, and he had the Lantern there to get Elise into the fight as well. Beautiful first blood, very nicely executed. And then in the top lane, because Jax has been pushed back all the time, and Renekton was able to kind of just farm and trade every now and then very, very nicely, as we actually saw the blue stolen away by Elise and Jace there. Very nicely done by them. That denies Kassadin even more of his lane power. But, as you said, Renekton hit level 7 just that tiny bit earlier than Jax, and that allowed him to dive under the tower with that dominance already very, very beefy. He has now picked up a Giant's Bolt and the Chain Vest. Almost got that Sunfire Cape done at 8 minutes. That is not what you want to have up in the top lane. He's got, together with Caitlyn, the most CS in the game. He's really been able to do with his top lane what he wanted.
Yeah, he's already 20 CS ahead as well, and that's massive in the top lane. The good thing for him is that Sunfire Cape, usually a great item on Renekton, is superb in this case. Look at the amount of attack damage coming out from the opposing team. They're doing huge amounts of physical damage, no magic damage really apart from on Elise. Not going to be able to do anything against that Sunfire Cape. It's going to tank up huge amounts of their output, damage output, so really going to struggle against him as he progresses into that Sunfire Cape and into more armor items later in the game.
Precisely, Jax went for the Vam Scepter, and already you could see the trades just going against Jax. He was already losing out in that lane, and then with that huge amount of armor and HP on Renekton now, he can just do whatever he wants. His Death Sentence lands on Caitlyn.
Nice Death Sentence. Flay just a little bit too far away there. Howling Gale knocking up KNM, and Thresh eating one of those cupcakes. Just delicious cupcakes. You can't resist them if you're in the bottom lane.
No, indeed you cannot, and every support will step on them sooner or later. It always happens. In the end, Tasty and Thresh did it at a time where it wasn't that bad. He could get that cupcake just for free. Caitlyn not able to follow up with anything, didn't have her Piltover Peacemaker up at the time. Jarvan now moving down to
Death Sentence landing, sorry, in the bottom lane. Jarvan's coming in as well. There's the play, there's the box as well. Died is getting a lot of damage down on him, but a nice Monsoon knocks Ryder back into the team. The Buster Shot knocks everyone away. There's the SNL, tries to jump in there. KNM is putting himself in an awkward position. Flashes away there from the Cataclysm, but he might go down red buff. There's the Dragon Strike as well. KNM is going to get dived here by Extras. Nice damage there. Howling Gale. Barrier is up. Extras is going to go down. He does it. He flashes away, but dies top lane. There's a fight as well. Shenli getting engaged by Sandal, and Bloodier, he gets taken really low. Has popped that dominance. Might get enough damage onto Sandal. Look at that. It's huge amounts of damage. And Cocoon manages to pick up the kill. Nicely done. Wow.
That was crazy. So much aggression all over the map. And in the bot lane, really, Janna even got executed by the tower there, trying to dive together with Jarvan. And that was really nicely played by Tristana. She still had her barrier up, used that at exactly the right time. However, that jumping in there towards Thresh was a really bad idea. She had nothing to help him out with, and because of that, she then had to burn her flash to get out of the Cataclysm. Still worked out okay for her in the end. She traded 1-for-1 under the tower. Of course, Thresh also going down meant that that was a 2-for-1 exchange in the bot lane. Janna only getting executed. If she had been able to pick up the kill onto Janna as well, that would have been perfect. That would have been a 2-for-2 trade after such a basically bad turnaround. Thresh got into really bad position. The Monsoon was perfect and got him right under the tower and into Jarvan. The knockup landed, the exhaust was there.
Oh, engaged here by the Henix in mid lane. Manages to get the kill there with an Ignite and an auto attack after the flash. Nicely done. Extras is going to come in round on the side, but Elise is here as well. He's going to try and get some damage down, but the minions are going to stop that Cocoon from hitting. Volatile Spiderling coming out, and the minion did block that Cocoon. Nicely done there by the Henix, picking up that kill with a flash Ignite.
Exactly, and Elise already very beefy. She picked up the Spirit of the Ancient Golem. She's able to roam all over the map now and just be a threat already just because she can tank it. This is going to be the signal for the blue team to go for Dragon. Heittotähtdet wants to pick that up as early as possible, and it does look like they can for now. The question is, can they get it down without taking too much damage? The red team is collapsing.
Yeah, Jarvan did come across trying to steal that one away, but had actually backed away, not able to capitalise on his Demacian standard in the middle of that. It's just a bit difficult for them to get that dragon away. And we actually see Blue Team going into the lead for the first time really in the game here. After that first blood, they were a little bit ahead, but not managing to get as far ahead as they'd like because of the really good CSing coming out here from BadGameUniversity.
Indeed, and it really came down to the top lane fight, taking out the Renekton, and then beautiful rotations all the time from Heittotähtdet. Of course, the kill onto Kassadin was what facilitated that dragon there. He was not able to join the fight, and thus there were only 3 members from BadGameUniversity. They were not able to pick
carrying them getting taken so long. Didn't block the ace in the hole. I can't believe it. Ryder, scumbag support was like, no, I want to live. I want to live. Carry them actually having to back away there on about 50 HP.
That was really close. Like, that could have easily gone wrong.
incredibly close, and we actually see Jarvan coming into the bottom lane as well. He's going to try and take this tower away. Demacia and Sander giving them that extra attack speed. The death sentence missing as well. Sander is there as well, going to try and defend it, but the cocoon coming down after died, a little bit of damage, not quite as much as you'd want, and he has got that Vampiric Scepter, so will be able to sustain himself up if he stays around for too long.
What's interesting here is that Tristana's actually going for the Infinity Edge as the first item. Generally, you see Tristana's often going for the Blade of the Ruined King. It's a very nice kiting item. You can just jump in, use that on someone, slow them down, and then kill them, and then jump back out, or wherever you need to go next. But she decides, I just want to sit there and dish out all my damage, so I'm going to go for the Trinity Force, whereas Caitlyn is more looking to do as much damage as possible with her Piltover Peacemakers, more going for a siege build, really, looking to pick up that Bloodthirster most likely.
And that's kind of what we expected, really, wasn't it? Because if Caitlyn is able to stand behind Shenli... Oh, Dominus coming up here in top lane. The Ignite's gone down as well. Grandmaster's might popped by Blooded, but he's going to go the wrong way. Oh, he leap strikes back onto the minion and escapes. That was beautiful play. I cannot believe Blooded manages to survive that one without even using Flash.
Perfect. Juke there, then back the other. And Renekton had no chance of catching up to that. He did still have his Flash, but he decided not to use it, not to try and get in there. Probably wasn't confident that he could get it. However, that does of course leave Renekton up in that top lane again. He now has a 40 CS advantage over Jax, and he hasn't picked up that Sunfire cape yet. There has been a nice amount of damage onto that top tower. It's already at about a third of its HP, and now Renekton will go back. He's got 1,400 gold in his pocket. He'll pick up that Sunfire cape now. He still has gold left over, but he does look like he's just going to go for wards and a couple of health potions.
That's one of the major things that you begin to see at sort of higher level play. People will go back with a bit of extra gold, and at sort of gold to silver level play, they say, oh, I can get the start of my next item. Whereas at this level play, they say, I'm going to get a ward, I'm going to get some health pots, I'm going to keep myself in lane for that little bit longer, I'm going to make sure I don't get ganked. And that's really what's going to keep Renekton this 30 CS ahead and be able to keep allowing him to kill his lane.
And it's interesting because Jace, really not interested in that Muramana as well, not going for the Mana Moon. He hasn't even gotten the tier. Instead, he goes for the Brutalizer, probably wants to pick up a Black Cleaver, possibly, and just do more damage with that, but that's going to mean he can't spam as much. Of course, for now, he does have the blue buff, but towards the late game, he's really going to notice some mana issues if he keeps up spamming for a lot of the time. And it's going to show if they can pick their fights.
It's a fight in bot lane. The boxers come down. Dida's going to get taken really low. Ignite's gone down. Nice Monsoon there by Matthias. Just keeping everyone away. K&M deciding not to jump in with the rocket jump. Ace in the hole coming out. It's not going to take anyone down. Nice engage here in top lane as well. The Cocoon coming out there by Sander. Lock Shenli in place, but they can't fight this. They're just so far behind Shenli in the top lane. He's got that kill. He's got that Sunfire cape. Not going to be able to do anything with that one.
Indeed. Shenli already so very, very beefy. But, I mean, that fight in the bottom lane there, that was why we mentioned Janna was one of the best disengaged supports. It was a perfect catch, but Tristana's jumping in. Yeah,
Tristana's decided to go in on this bot lane. Dida's going to get taken really low, pops the barrier perfectly there. Death Center's landing on Matthias. Matthias is really high, but Dida is really low. Right, and getting taken so low there, down to about 50 HP. There's the Dark Passage, keeping K&M safe, and Ace in the hole is down, so he's not going to be able to follow up on that one. X-Dice is going to come into this mid lane, but not be able to get this gank off, because there is a ward there, just keeping the Hinds with knowledge. Oh, engage there with the Riftwalk. He's going to go into Hammer form, but I'm not sure this is enough. He has got Flash up if he wants to jump across. Decides not to. He gets taken down by X-Dice. Nicely done there, picking up another kill, making it 4 for 4 and 300 gold in the lead for BadGameUniversity.
And that was really nicely played by BadGameUniversity. They saw their chance. Jace was just a little bit too cocky. He had been dominating that mid lane for the most part of this game, and then all of a sudden he was just in a bad position, with Kassadin doing quite a nice damage trade onto him, and then that facilitated the Jarvan gank. Jace was so focused on what to do with Kassadin that he didn't notice any other threats around him, and that just made it so easy for Jarvan to come in there, and the silence, of course, preventing that flash in the first place, and then it was too late. He decided not to use it, but we've already seen the first tower of the game go down for BadGameUniversity in that bot lane. Then, after that very nice fight in Tristana being so low that she could not stay there and defend the tower, Ace in the hole almost taking her out once again. And this top tower isn't very healthy anymore either.
Yeah, if Blooded stays around for this next wave, he might get taken down because Shenli has been waiting on that Ignite, flashes up as well, as is Dominus, and it's going to be a very, very dangerous place for Blooded to stay. Yes, he's still on about 3/4 health, but this is a Renekton we're talking about. He can do a huge amount of damage output, so it looks like Blooded's going to back away. He knows the tower's gone down, and Shenli will pick up the second tower of the game here for BadGameUniversity.
And this is going to be the signal for Heittotähtdet to go for the dragon again, maybe. But the thing is, now there's a tower down in the top lane, a tower down in the bottom lane. Dragon just respawned. And while Heittotähtdet was able to pick up an uncontested dragon,
Rexos is not in a good position here. Ryder's around as well. There's the Dark Passage. Nice ward place, but they're deciding not to go in on this one. Xtaz actually engaging all by himself. Alcatraz has used that Ripple. The box has come down. No sphere onto Ryder. Here comes Blooded as well, and they know Renex is nowhere near this fight. Ignite's gone down. Xtaz is going to get taken out. Dide is not in a good position. Sandor getting caught there in the strap trap. Here comes Henix onto Dide. Might be able to get enough damage down onto the back line. Alcatraz is still on full health now. He could Rip Walk into this one. Blooded flashes away. Ryder gets taken down by Shenli. He has joined the fight. Pop that Dominus. Henix is flashing away. Riftwall's going to come out any second. He is quite low on mana. There's the No Sphere picking up the kill onto Alcatraz. Henix is running away quite low on mana and on health. Has got that blue puff though. There's the Shock Blast combination with that acceleration gate. No Sphere into Ace in the hole. Alcatraz picks up that kill and they're going to secure Dragon off this one as well. Ace in the hole, No Sphere is just too strong.
That was a really nice communication between Caitlyn and Kassadin there to pick up the last kill. But really, what was very interesting is the impatience of Jarvan. He went in there so early without really the full backup of his team. If he had just waited 10, 15 more seconds, that would have been so much easier for them. They had every advantage stacked in their favor. There's a big lane pushing down top. They had the top and bottom tower already down. Renekton was moving down. Renekton is so far ahead. He has a Sunfire Cape and a Brutalizer plus other items. And if he had just waited a little bit, they had so many advantages that Heittotähtdet would have just had to back off. Jax was there though, and with that, all of a sudden, it was a 4-for-4. Renekton and Tristana both a little bit late to the party, but luckily, in the end, BadGameUniversity coming out on top, even on that trade, despite the early mistake there by Jarvan, and picking up the dragon on the back of that. So it's 1-1 in dragons, and we see a 4,400 gold lead now in favor of BadGameUniversity.
Yeah, really managing to swing that gold into their favour, pushing them that huge amount of gold actually. For 19 minutes, 4,000 gold is a massive amount. And we see one great thing about their team is how well spread out all of these kills are. 2 kills on Renekton, 2 kills on Jarvan, 2 kills on Alcatraz playing that Kassadin, 1 kill on that bot lane, no kills on the support. I mean, if I were playing support, I'd have all of the kills. So nicely spread out for them. It means their damage is going to be spread across a lot of champions. And look at the amount that Alcatraz can do with one combination on the Henix. Took about half of his health down. Really not going to be fun times for Henix in mid lane.
I'm kind of surprised though that Alcatraz is so all over the place a little bit with his itemization. He picked up the Seeker's Arm Guard, which was quite logical, giving him a nice boost in armor and a little bit of AP against that Jace in the mid lane. But then first going for the tier and then for the Catalyst. Ooh, Death Sentence, very close there. But then for the Catalyst, he's not getting any major items done. And the rest of the players are. There's the Bloodthirster on Jace. There's the Infinity Edge on Tristana. Luckily, Renekton has a bunch of big items. There's the Bloodthirster and Ezekiel on Caitlyn. She's already dishing out tons of damage.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's kind of the saving grace, but Kassadin needs to get some items done soon in order to maximize his damage potential soon as the next couple of team fights come around. Or that could come back and bite them.
Yeah, what he might be thinking is, because the rest of the team are so far ahead, as you say, because they have all of that damage, he might be like, well, I can build sort of my intermediate items, get my tier, get my catalyst. Death Sentence landing there, they're not going to engage in mid lane. Get a few intermediate items and then go into my big items late game. Have sort of the extra health you get from catalyst, extra mana as well, extra mana from tier, extra armor coming out there from the Seeker's Arm Guard, just to keep himself a bit safer in these team fights early game, but he will be a powerhouse late game. We do see the Blasting Wand coming out of him, so I expect to see a Rod of Ages picked up really soon.
I agree that, of course, being the stacking item, it's a little bit of priority over the Archangel Staff, but both of those items going to come out sooner or later. But now, BadGameUniversity with a very strong push down this mid lane after defending their mid tower very nicely there against the push out of Heittotähtdet.
they've seen Blowdeer in that bottom lane and they know they can push mid. Carryman taking so low, he's had to back away all the way back to his base. Ace in the hole was used, but sometimes as Caitlyn, it's best just to use your ace in the hole to harass people down. Yes, you might get a kill with it every now and again, but if you're trying to kill someone with ace in the hole, usually there's a tank around who can block it up. So if you can get a bit of damage down at any point, that's what you want to do. We do see Carryman trying to join the fight. Blowdeer is off to the side and is going to try and jump across onto them from here, but it looks like the BadGameUniversity team have just backed away and are going to stay nice and safe.
Very good call by them. They did a little bit of damage to the enemy team, kept them all there for a bit, and just showed that they are dominant in this game right now. Caitlyn and Jen are going to move down to that bot lane again, keep pushing that wave. They have 3 towers down at this point. All the outer towers are down for BadGameUniversity. They've taken them all, and now Renekton is pushing top, Caitlyn and Jenna pushing bot, and that will again put so much global pressure onto Heittotähtdet that they have to be constantly careful and send people off to the side lanes, which in turn enables BadGameUniversity to just keep piling down the mid lane and exert more pressure there. And really, Heittotähtdet have to find a way out of this soon, or they will just be constantly on the back foot and wandering, running around, trying to basically grasp at straws, trying to clean up the mess that BadGameUniversity made.
Yeah, I think one of the things that they might be waiting for is, like, they want their people to get as stacked as possible. They want Jax to get some more CS. Yes, it's nice that Shenli is pushing out that top lane, pushing it towards him. It does deny them some map vision, but if Jax can get some of that CS, get back up sort of to the 175, 200 mark in exchange for Shenli's 200. If Tristana can get to level 14, level 15, where she's got that bit more attack range, it might be able to help them secure those later team fights. But I totally agree with you. At the moment, BadGameUniversity really do have the advantage and are basically having their way here with Heittotähtdet.
And I really like the items that are picked up here. Renekton says, okay, I'm very beefy already. I can afford to pick up a little bit more damage with my advantage because he's going to be the one that's going into the front line and try to already take someone out or just be a huge threat. That basically kind of turns him into what you mentioned earlier, the World of Warcraft tank. If you're not only a meat wall, but also have a threat built into you, that's going to make the enemy team much more likely to focus you. Same thing, basically it goes for many tanks. Elise also picking up the sorceress shoes, wants to be able to at least do a little bit of damage, so she's not completely basically a non-issue for the enemy team. Javan almost has his Randuin's Omen done though, and that's going to be huge. If he can get onto Jax, Jace, Tristana, that Randuin's Omen will do immense amounts of work for them. However, Jax already has one too. That will make him a lot beefier and provide that very nice active. And he, of course, has the jump to get into the enemy team. But Thresh may get himself caught out here.
Yeah, Nullsphere coming in there. Alcatraz using the Ignite as well with the Riftwalk. The boxes come out, but one more Riftwalk should secure this kill. Alcatraz going in, actually flashing out of that one. Doesn't want to get too close to this enemy team. And it's going to be a nice, easy kill there for BadGameUniversity. That ward placement by Matthias really helping him out. A couple of pink wards, meaning that Ryza thought he needed to go across and secure some vision. But it's going to be a dragon for BadGameUniversity. 6,000 gold in the lead now.
And that's such a danger towards the mid game when you don't have enough map vision and someone calls for the support, hey, support, go ward dragon, it's up soon. And then the support goes there. But because there's no vision, he has no idea where the enemy team is, gets caught out, gets killed, and then it turns out that with that action, the team has actually given up any chance of contesting the objective. By Thresh getting killed there, Heittotähtdet had no way of ever contesting that dragon again. There was so much vision down there in that bot jungle for BadGameUniversity, and they were just able to pick up a free dragon for themselves, number 2 of this game.
Yep, and that's, as we said, putting them really far in the gold lead. Right, and missing that death sentence there, not going to be able to go on Alcatraz. The problem with getting a death sentence on someone like Kassadin is he's just going to Riftwalk away. You don't have enough CC, even between a Thresh and an Elise, to take down a Seeker's Arm Guard, Rod of Ages Kassadin at this sort of level.
Exactly, he's done the right thing. He's already very tanky now, 3-1-2, and he's getting to that point where he can snowball farther and farther ahead. But now, Caitlyn picking up a Last Whisper, that's very nice for her, is able to chunk through a little bit off that armor on Elise and Jax. However, Jace has one for himself. He's kind of going for that Legolas build plus a Berserker, plus a Brutalizer. So he wants to be able to do damage with his skill shots and then kind of hang back, poke a little bit more with his skill shots, and then if the fight does roll around, then he can still do all the damage he needs to.
We do actually see Jace is... yeah, 50 CS ahead of Kassadin at the moment. The gold will be a little bit in Kassadin's favour, 72 gold there in Kassadin's favour, just because of those extra dragons and extra towers. But Jace probably the one main saving grace here for the Heittotähtdet team, has managed to get that CS advantage as we thought he would, and is really keeping his team in the game with that last whisper, with the brutalizer and with the bloodthirster as well. Caitlyn is trying to get around on the side of this, has got red buff, didn't decide to attack the Henix. He backed away quite nicely there, so isn't going to be able to follow this one up at all.
Dominance was popped in the top lane. Renekton trying to get onto onto Jax. Jax able to get away from that though without using his flash, which is
oh, Death Sentinel's actually landing there on Dive. Flay's going to come in the box as well. Matthias using the monsoon to knock Vita back into the team. Blood is come across. Renekton is not there at the moment. They're all going to have to back away. Look at the damage distribution here. Tristana was not in the fight for them. He could not carry them. Carrying them could not do that. Yeah, Janna almost getting taken down by a shot blast combination there. But we see Renekton is going to go up into this top lane, pushing down that tower. Blood is had to back away and decide to try and save it. Another shot blast coming out there, not quite hitting onto Matthias. He's going to be able to retreat his way away and back away to the base.
But that was incredibly dangerous for BadGameUniversity. They almost threw away every advantage that they had. As it stands, they only lost the bot tower, which isn't too bad compared to what could have happened. Caitlyn really got kind of caught off guard with that death sentence, and all of a sudden, there were actually so many members of Heittotähtdet over there, and the box went down, and all of a sudden so much damage went out onto BadGameUniversity, and luckily there was the monsoon to knock everybody away, and that enabled Caitlyn to get out. The ignite went down onto Kassadin instead of Caitlyn, which also spread the damage a little more, and kind of saved Caitlyn from a lot of the hurt.
You know that moment, right, when you realise there's something in the game that you've just totally missed. Oh, actually, sorry, there's an engage here on Blood in top lane. Nice jump onto him there by Extaz. There's the Vandrin's Omen going to pop out. Dominus coming out as well. Cataclysm, Leap Strike actually onto a ward. Matthias is there as well, and he gets away with that Dark Passage, but here's Kassadin as well from the side. Not going to be able to engage on that one. Ryder is taking out that ward. Bit of a precarious spot there, buddy. You might want to get away. Another ward goes down in the bush, but they're going to get rid of it. Oh, no, sorry, that's their ward. That's their ward. They don't need to get rid of their own wards. That would be dangerous. Yeah, the thing I was going to say, there's something in this game that neither of us have really noticed. It's quite a major thing. Kassadin has 2 Sorcerer's Boots.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What?
I'm gonna check something, because I'm pretty sure it's a... Oh, it's not a unique passive. So they do actually get... He does actually get 30 magic penetration from his 2 Sorcerer's Boots. However, as everyone knows, the speed from boots does not stack. Okay? I thought there was a mistake. I'm pretty sure there was a patch at one point that stopped you from being able to buy 2 boots. Or is that on PvE? That might be on PvE.
It's only the level 1 boots.
Oh, sorry. Alcatraz is getting caught out here. There's the ignite. So much damage. Hines picks up that kill. Extraz is going to get taken out as well. Nice monsoon there. They're all backing away. Nice kill there for the Henix. He's gone in. Dide is going to go really low. Tristana picking up that kill. Using that rocket jump. He has got a red buff, so if he can get close enough, we'll be able to secure another kill. There's the acceleration getting. Shenli is going to get slowed down. Uses that slice to try and get away. They can't really go any further because there is a tower there. But it is 8 and 8 now, and they are getting back into this game. 5,000 gold, still the difference. But they're going to go across towards Baron and should be able to get that one down.
So, turns out even double Sorcerer's Shoes does not save you when you get caught out. It was terrible. Heittotähtdet got a free engagement on BadGameUniversity. They had all the cards stacked in their favor. The minions weren't immediately pushing down on their towers. There is a wave in the bot lane now, but that's way too late to prevent anything that happened. Might be able to take that tower, actually. Not even. That tower is still so healthy. And that was a free Baron for Heittotähtdet, and this can really be the thing that gets them back into the game. So, BadGameUniversity, you're gonna have to be careful now. They can't do the same thing again. They messed up big time there. Renekton wasn't immediately there to help out. This time there wasn't any disengage from Janna, and it just wasn't enough. And then there's so much utility, so much chase on Heittotähtdet with the Jax leap. The acceleration gate out of Jace. Tristana has the jump. Thresh can jump to the target he hooked. And all these things just going in their favor. BadGameUniversity gonna pick up this dragon though. That's number 3, I believe, in their favor, or already number 4? No, 3.
Yeah, it's number 3.
First one went over to Heittotähtdet, of course. But it is gonna cost them at least a tower now that they messed up there. The Baron buff still ticking away on Heittotähtdet. Going to be a threat.
And it looks like Extras actually might be engaged upon. No, the Dark Passage has gone down. No one decides to follow up. The Henix coming in a little bit late. they decided not to engage there. But one of the major things that we're going to see now, and it's because Baron buff is so strong at the moment, with that extra AD and extra AP that you get from it, extra health regeneration as well, it's just going to be very, very difficult for the BadGameUniversity team to do anything about these outer towers. Yes, you can defend your inhibitor turrets, but the outer towers are very difficult to defend. They do have good wave clear with the Force Pulse coming out from Kassadin and the Koldamika coming out from Shenley on that Renekton, but they should be able to take down these towers really quickly from the Heittotähtdet side.
Indeed, they have so much attack damage among between Jax, Jace, and Tristana. They have so much. Tristana already with the Infinity Edge, the Last Whisper, and the Zeal looking for the Phantom Dancers next. Already has the Cloak of Agility. Very, very strong there. Jace, of course, finishing up the Black Cleaver as well. He now has so much damage for himself as Janna.
Oh, engage coming into Matthias. Death Center's landing beautifully done, and the Henix picks up that kill. Matthias just a little bit out of position, trying to clear out those wards, but got caught out, and Jax is pushing down this top lane, gonna get onto this tower really soon with the rest of his team.
And we're down to a 1,600 gold advantage. That's nothing at this point in the game. And Heittotähtdet really doing very well for themselves here. After that one engagement in their favor, they picked up the Baron. They're now pressuring all lanes, and they have a beautiful siege team, a beautiful tower taking team, with all that attack damage that we already mentioned. The God, what are they called? Sorry about this. The shots out of Jace that just chunk people for large amounts of their HP.
What,
especially
the shock
targets
blast?
like
Yeah.
Exactly. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Shock blast. You know, chunking Caitlyn, Janna, Kassadin for a quarter of their HP. He has those 3 items, and it's really strong. Oh, Tristana, very dangerous here. He's able to get away though.
With that rocket jump, she's probably one of the safest AD carries. Yes, it takes a little time for the spell to actually cast, but very, very safe if you can use it properly. Even if you get caught out, you are able to get away with that and use your flash as well if needs must. They are going to push down this mid lane turret, and all of their health is regenerated so quickly as well from this Baron buff. Shock Blast hitting extras there, not going to do as much damage as you'd like, but you are hitting one of the main tanks, so don't expect it to do too much.
And the only shame for Heittotähtdet here was that the bot lane has been pushing heavily against them for quite a while now, and that really prevented them from rotating over to the third lane and taking that outer tower as well. But at least now they have the inner towers on both the mid and the top lane that gives them a large amount of map pressure, and they still have a little bit left on that Baron buff, although it's merely a couple of seconds, so that's going to be gone. However, it did allow them to get back into the game. They are now 9-8 in kills, they're 5-4 in towers, only 900 gold behind. They used to be, I do believe, 5,000 gold at some point?
Yeah. They were 6,000 actually at one point. At the highest point it was about
behind.
6,000 gold, yeah.
And now it's 1,000 or less. That's huge for them. They really got back into the game with all that. And it's all due to BadGameUniversity making one single big mistake with that one engagement there in the mid lane. Now, there is a second Randuin's Omen on them. Yes?
Yes, the second Randuin's Omen is great, but you need to make sure you don't stack them, because obviously those unique passives do not stack in the way that you would expect them to. We learnt that after the Aegis patch. Can you remember when Aegis used to stack in the good old days of Season 2? Very, very strong. See Thresh picking up that soul, can't leave a soul on the ground. It gets eaten up by the dirt. I wonder where lost souls go, because if Thresh doesn't pick them up, do they just wither and die? Ooh, we do actually have a pause coming out. I wonder if they just wither and die, or if they're actually consumed by something.
I don't know, just dissipate into air. Who knows?
Maybe lost souls become minions, and are stuck forever.
God. But Riot has stated in the past that minions don't have souls, so it doesn't matter if you kill them.
Okay. What about wolves and stuff? Maybe they become the jungle camps.
Oh, that's possible. Who knows? But I wouldn't exactly want to be reborn as a jungle camp if I was formerly a minion. That's actually a huge contradiction. Riot says minions don't have souls, but then souls all of a sudden spawn out of them and Thresh can pick them up. What's wrong with that?
That's true, actually. That's a real... I didn't think about that.
That's interesting. Who knows, maybe they've actually rewritten that part about them not having souls, but...
Maybe they have. But then what about minion cruelty?
Exactly.
You don't want minion cruelty, do you?
Is it still ethical to play League of Legends?
I'm probably still going to play.
Do you just have to sit there and not CS then?
Maybe that's what they've realised in Bronze. Like in low Bronze, they've just realised that it's unethical to play League of Legends, so they just sit there and they don't actually take the CS.
Now it makes so much more sense. They don't purposely kill the minions.
Yeah. But they try and end their suffering as quickly as possible. We are back into the game. What do you think is going to happen in the next couple of minutes here, Grey Goose?
I do believe that Heittotähtdet will try to put up as much pressure as possible. They have been able to complete more items. The Aegis of the Legion actually helping them out huge amounts. Actually, by now, of course, it is already the Locket of the Iron Solari. Has been helping them a huge amount against all the AoE damage out of BadGameUniversity. There's no Aegis on the enemy team yet. As soon as that comes out, their team is going to be a little bit tankier as well. But they got all these items done. Jax has his Trinity Force. He's now at 260 minions compared to the 292 out of Renekton. He's been catching up throughout the entirety of the game, and he is now a huge threat as well. Once he gets that Blade of the Rune King, he'll do some really, really big damage. But now, BadGameUniversity actually seeing Jax up in that top lane is looking to roam over there and possibly pick up a kill here.
Yeah, he might actually get caught out. The Dark Passage is available though from Thresh, so he might be able to save Blooder. There's the ward. Oh, they're going to engage. Dark Passage actually. Flay coming in there by Ryta. The Cocoons come across, acing the hole onto Blooder. He's going to get taken really low, and all the damage is going down on Shenli. Carrying is facing off against Matthias, and indeed died here on the side. But here comes Shenli flashing in. Alcatraz has had to jump away. Carrying using barrier. Oh, one headshot almost taking him down. Shenli getting caught out again. Nice kill there by Sandor. Alcatraz has backed away, but Died is still on full health. He's going to back away. Jace is still up above him here, still on full health as well. The Henix might go in for this. There's some damage onto Dive. Here comes X-Dice from the side. I'm not sure if there'll be enough damage. There's a Shock Blast, and X-Dice is almost gone down. Flash in there by the Henix, going on to Dive. Alcatraz actually picking up Sando while all of this was happening, and the Henix is still going to go on to Dive. There is no ward in the bush. There's the Dark Passage. Oh, nice jump across, but that last auto attack just following, and Alcatraz manages to escape with a Rift Walk. Shock Blast going in the wrong direction. So overall, it's a 2-for-2 exchange after a very, very long fight. Oh, Matthias is going to get caught out here. There's the Dark Death Sentence. Sorry, Henix is there. He follows it up. Nice Monsoon. Right up flashing him, but playing in the wrong direction. Here's the Shock Blast coming out from Henix any second now. Matthias is running away for his life. Is Henix going to keep following this up? Because X-Dice is around. Shock Blast. Oh, down to about 200 health. Not quite able to pick up that kill. Nicely done by Matthias to be able to escape that one. I was so sure he was dead.
Indeed. It's really interesting. It seems like Heittotähtdet dislikes intercepting the Caitlyn ultimate. You mentioned before that usually there will be a tanky character around to take that, but once again, Ryta was just like, oh, there's a Caitlyn ultimate on you. Well, I mean, I could take one step forward and block that for you, but I don't think I will. And that made Jax get chunked by that huge amount of damage out of Caitlyn as well. She has now her 5 core items done. Picked up that Guardian Angel on the last back. That's going to be huge for her in the next big team fight. And that really, they took out Jax, which was a terrible thing, and now there's actually a next Baron up. And Heittotähtdet looking to not give this one up for free, actually looking to take another one up for themselves. But this time BadGameUniversity is around and they don't want to give it up.
Yeah, Dark Passage, Death Sentence just missing there from Ryta. Another ward going in the bush. Draven is watching over Baron for the BadGameUniversity team. Just standing there like, yep, this is mine. I have claimed it with my face. And another pause coming out. I assume it's either Matthias or Shenli disconnecting again. Lots of chat going out, but I'm not going to put it up on stream just in case it's something very weird. So, just a quick pause coming out, hopefully. Baron is up, as you say. We did see Alcatraz was on his blue buff, but he's managed to get across the mid lane, so we'll be able to join this fight at any moment. The gold is only 1,100 difference at the moment, so both teams very, very equal footing. A couple of summoner spells down on either side, mostly ignites and flashes. Actually, more down here for BadGameUniversity than for Heittotähtdet. So if a fight does occur, expect to see Heittotähtdet winning on that summoner spell war.
One thing we haven't mentioned at all is Caitlyn's CS advantage over Tristana. She has almost 80 CS more, and actually more than 80 CS on Tristana. That's huge for her. That's what's allowed her to pick up that early Guardian Angel, and it's going to be huge in the next fight. That revive passive so strong in a longer drawn out fight, which the last ones have been.
Yeah, they've been
Helen Gale actually not aggroing Baron there.
Yeah, that was odd. Like, there have been recent bugs with Baron being aggroed just randomly, and then for some reason that Howling Gale didn't seem to want to hit Baron. I thought Baron was a little bit bigger than he is. Maybe he's wearing like a custom skin that makes his hitbox that little bit smaller. I'm assuming Baron's a man, actually. I mean, with the way that he gets mad every now and again, sort of nearer the end of games at sort of a regular periods, maybe it's a woman. I mean, you never know. You never know.
Who knows? It's more and more ferocious every time you kill him.
Yeah, you can never get rid of a woman. The problem is that is definitely
respawns too.
that's definitely not a kitchen it's located in. So maybe that's why Baron is so angry a lot of the time. Has to go back to the kitchen every time it dies. Goes underground, gets to the kitchen, and makes everyone a quick sandwich. That's actually what rotates around the players. Little purple sandwiches that Baron has made for them.
Interesting.
That they decide to eat. Yeah. Anyway.
The next items that are going to come out here are going to be crucial for the next fights. Tristana finally getting a little bit of lifesteal, but Kassadin almost has that Zhonya's Hourglass done. And once he does, he'll be able to just dive into the middle of everyone, put out his damage, then use the Zhonya's, wait for his Rift Walk to be back up, and get back out. In the meantime, the rest of his team can engage as well. Renekton, of course, so incredibly tanky. He picked up a Negatron Cloak there. Gonna go finally for a little bit of magic resist, probably going for that Spirit Visage for the extra sustain and lifesteal, and they're gonna clean out this top wave as Tristana's in the bot lane. And this may actually be the signal for BadGameUniversity to engage. And there's
here comes the engage. Bloody going into that backline. Alcatraz getting taken very low. He gets melted. Sandra picking up the kill. Monsoon coming out a little bit late there. Bloody is going to go in. He's popped that Mandarins. Matthias is going very low. Ace in the hole. Reiter getting that one blocked off for him. The rest of his team are not scumbags. Shen Li is there, jumping on the backline, Reiter using that place, try and get him away. Xtraz is getting taken quite low as well. Henix is getting taken very low, down to about a third of his health, and Shen Li's going to follow up on him. Dead one is coming in, but here comes Karinem. He's going to try and do a huge amount of damage. Xtraz has jumped onto that backline. Henix is away from the fight now. Shen Li coming back around the side. Nice cocoon there by Sandor. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade thus far, but everyone here on the Heittotähtdet team is very low on health. Apart from Karinem, who's getting those crits off, getting that damage off. Oh, the snipe there. 360, no scope coming out from the Henix. Managing to land that onto Matthias, who got melted. Nicely done there by him. And this means that the Heittotähtdet team can try and push this lane down and get some extra damage down onto these towers.
That was a saving grace for Heittotähtdet. Of course, in that fight, a large amount of miscommunication for BadGameUniversity. This was kind of like their earlier catch in mid lane, where they gave up so much of their early game advantage, because Kassadin, along with, Jarvan kind of engaged on the enemy team, then backed out, but Kassadin had just jumped into the middle of the enemy team, and then couldn't get back out because he didn't have his Rift Walk up yet. He didn't have the Zhonya's yet either to go invulnerable. The pause is again because Tristana disconnected. She'll be back into the game shortly. But that made Kassadin just get deleted, and then Heittotähtdet tried to stall the fight out until Tristana could get there, and they almost managed to. It was just that little tiny bit too late. Caitlyn with the Guardian Angel, all of a sudden not focused on anymore at all. Heittotähtdet just said, we can't take her down completely because she's going to respawn with the Guardian Angel, so we're just not going to touch them. And that let her just sit in the back line and auto-attack all day long and dish out so much damage. And then Renekton was super beefy in the front line there. Jarvan, of course, picking up a kill for himself. Very nicely done by him as well. He's going for more damage. He's actually picked up the pickaxe now. But that really was a saving grace for BadGameUniversity. Tristana wasn't there, Caitlyn wasn't focused, and Renekton was beefy enough to just go out there and keep the enemy team at bay. That could have gone a lot worse for BadGameUniversity, and they could have possibly given up the Baron for that.
Yeah, I think one of the major things that we've seen now is Karinem has picked up that Last Whisper, Phantom Dancer, and Infinity Edge. She's at that sort of 3-item Tristana stage, which is where you really want to be, getting that extra critical damage down. She wasn't in that last team fight. If she was in the team fight, I think it would have gone a lot more in favour of Heittotähtdet, as opposed to the sort of 1-for-1 trade that we had in the end of it. I think, it was 2-for-1 because Matthias died as he was trying to retreat. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see if Karinem is in that fight, how it decides to go down.
Exactly, and that, as I mentioned, was a saving grace for BadGameUniversity. Tristana wasn't there to clean up. She had her jumps, she had everything ready, but she wasn't in the fight, and then of course she can't do damage. But this time around, Heittotähtdet
there's an engaging mid lane onto Blooded. So much damage going down, and there's the Ignite. He's counter strike, he's flashed away. Alcatraz is there as well. Blood is so close to going down. There's the Nosfer. The Shock Blast coming in from the side, but it's going to be a 5v4. Oh, Caitlyn isn't quite there yet. Karinem getting jumped in the backline. Nicely done there by Reiter to keep Shen Li off his carry as much as possible, but Reiter's almost gone down as well. Didy's chasing off the Henix at the side of this fight. Here comes Alcatraz. Rift walks in onto Sandor. Reiter's going to go down. There's the kill there by Alcatraz using that Force Boss as well, meaning it's a 3-4-0 exchange. Blooded really getting caught out, and nice follow up there by BadGameUniversity. They're going to be able to push down this inhibitor.
Yeah, they did very well, chasing down the most important targets there. And what really happened in the end was most of Heittotähtdet wanted to go for the Baron, except for Jax. He stuck around in the mid lane, then got engaged on, and then Heittotähtdet was very indecisive what they wanted to do. They just danced around the side of it, hoping for Jax to survive. It didn't happen, as Jarvan may actually go down here.
Yeah, Jarvan going quite low, but I don't think he's going to go down. Buster shot away from the turret there. But oh, he does actually go down. Double kill there for Tristana, showing he's getting taken quite low. But it is game. Nicely played by BadGameUniversity, showing that even if you're behind on kills, you can still win out the game. 15 kills to 14 down, but managed to get that extra CS and 4,000 gold in the end.
Exactly. This game, very back and forth due to one another's mistakes. There in the end, Heittotähtdet could have played that a lot better. If they had just said, okay, either they said Jax is dead, let's leave him, let's take Baron instead, then collapse around the backside of BadGameUniversity and clean the map afterwards, possibly accept that the middle inhibitor tower goes down, or you instantly run with the help of whatever movement speed abilities you have and engage as soon as possible. Instead, they did some kind of in-between. First, they kept walking towards Baron, then they turned around, walked through the jungle, and just sat there for a bit. And then couldn't really decide whether they wanted to go in or not. Jax died, and then BadGameUniversity turned around. The flash cataclysm was so core to that fight, snowballing so far in BadGameUniversity's favor, because it caught the rest of Heittotähtdet in the, and it just allowed BadGameUniversity to clean that up, and in the end, sorry, pick up that game win for themselves. Beautifully done, and yeah, just spot on.
Yeah, really well done by them. I'm actually going to be really interested. I'm just going to have a look at the damage stats. I think I'm interested in how much Alcatraz actually managed to do on that Kassadin in the end of the game. Let's have a look at damage dealt to champions. He actually had the most damage on his team. I mean, still 12,000 behind Jace, the Henix there, playing Jace. 12,000 damage behind him, but still most on his team. We talked about his early sort of tankiness with the Seeker's Arm Guard and with the Catalyst, managing still to get a lot of damage output out of that Kassadin. And if you can get to late game and not have fed your lane too much, you're going to be able to really do a lot of damage in team fights, jumping around with your Rift Walk. Are there any stats you want to see before we go to a quick break, Sven?
No, but exactly what you said. Jace was the only saving grace for his team for so long in that game. He was the one that even carried them to the mid game. The rest of his team had been behind almost the entire early and mid game, and he was the only thing that kept them in it. And as soon as BadGameUniversity managed to take him out a couple of times and get their own engagements, it was beautiful, and they were just able to roll through them and pick up that win for themselves.
Yeah, so well done by BadGameUniversity. They will be going into the next round. Not sure if we're streaming them yet or not. We will be back in about 52 minutes, guys. I'm going to put some videos on. I'm going to put some music on. Hopefully see you back in about, well, it's actually 54 minutes now. So thanks very much for watching, guys. And I've been Sona, and my co-caster today has been...
Gregos. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching.